Okay, we're going to do some quotes from this book right here, The Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers. And by the way, the notes I'm going through, we're going in alphabetical order. We're on letter D, DA for Rodney Dangerfield, the great comedian. These are not the exact same notes as this book. I have additional personal notes in this file that I'm using here. And, I have other lists. I have entire big sections of jokes by Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is one of my favorite comedians. I think he's like one of the funniest comedians, and anybody can do Rodney Dangerfield jokes. It's not so easy to do Eddie Murphy jokes or Sam Kinison jokes because a lot of their funniness comes from their personality and their sound effects with their voice. But, Rodney Dangerfield, kind of him and Chris Rock, their jokes are just funny because the joke's funny. It doesn't even matter on the delivery. He's sort of like the patron saint of married men. His best movie is Caddyshack. Back to School was great. And he'd say things like, a fly may bite a horse and make him wince, but the fly is still an insect and the horse is a stallion. And I would say that like when my kids would bother me. My son would be bothering me or something, or playing trash talking, playing basketball or something. Okay, Rodney Dangerfield. What's the difference between an arranged marriage versus marrying for love? You can spend the rest of your life blaming your parents instead of yourself. My wife's favorite position is back to back. Okay, so he goes on and on, for half an hour of funny marriage jokes. And I used to tell all these jokes back in the 1990s, early 1990s. Most of medicine was men, and things were very different then. You'd be walking around with a bunch of guys, and you'd all be telling jokes. Like I almost went into orthopedic surgery, and we were all just laughing, telling jokes. Ortho was a lot more fun than general surgery, because general surgery, you got all these really sick people in the ICU crashing and burning. You're on call every second night. Everybody's exhausted, stressed out. And it's inappropriate to joke while the patients are so sick. But ortho's not like that. Ortho's like, bone broke, must fix. And you're just walking around with a lot of other guys. A lot of them played sports in high school or college. And it's fun. But orthopedics itself, for me, it's like carpentry. I don't know. Ortho might have been fun, but that's why I didn't go into it. Okay, next one, Rodney Dangerfield. Love. Everyone says that looks don't matter. Age doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. But I've never seen a girl yet who has fallen in love with an ugly old broke man. Okay, so anyways, he goes on. And like I said, I've got pages and pages and pages. I memorized all his stuff, but I don't have him in this book. I don't think I included him in this book because I felt that it wasn't for that book. So maybe some other day I'll do Rodney Dangerfield. All right, we're going to do just a little bit about Dante Alighieri. He is the great Italian poet. He lived from 1265 to 1321. And of course, he's most famous for writing the Divine Comedy, starting out with the Inferno, hell, then purgatory, and then on up to Paradiso, to heaven. He had been in what was called, one of the political parties. There were two main ones, and he was on the losing side in Florence, and he was exiled from Florence. And he was very sad. He was a member of the Guelphs, and so he was a lay member of the Franciscan order, very religious. It was normal to be very religious in the Middle Ages. He was so sad to be exiled from Florence that he just sat around thinking, and he wrote the Divine Comedy. Okay, Daniel Robinson is a great teacher from thegreatcourses.com, now called Wondrium. And he said the Divine Comedy is inherently optimistic, the journey from darkness to light. And also it's what's called a catabasis, where you go down into hell and you seek the opinion and knowledge of people who are down in hell. The Aeneas of Virgil was also a form of catabasis, as was the Odyssey. And so that's a common theme in the classic literature. When I drive past the cemetery where my parents are buried, I in my mind's eye, I talk to them. I wish they would answer me, That's a normal thing. Okay, we continue here. Let's see. Virgil was seen as a prophet who had foretold the incarnation of Christ. He was considered the noble pagan, a proto-Christian. Dante loved Virgil. Okay, and he felt the greatest tragedy was the loss of Julius Caesar, who he felt would have led Rome to better things than did, the triumvirate's replacements. That led to a civil war then. And Pompey was killed, and, Mark Antony had some power for a little while. Then Octavian took over, and he felt it would have been better if Julius Caesar had survived. Okay, he was a Roman Celt. Dante thought that Brutus and Cassius, who had betrayed Julius Caesar, were the bottom, the worst pit, lowest circle of hell. Virgil's Aeneid was a standard classic book in all the schools. I had to read that my freshman year at Stanford in the Western Civilization course, which was a great course. It was the best class I ever took at Stanford. Michelangelo had memorized the entire Dante's Divine Comedy, memorized it. Daniel Robinson says Dante and the Gothic cathedrals were the apex of the Middle Ages. You know, I would add Charlemagne did a lot for education, and Alcuin, his professor, Abelard, the great Aristotelian professor, and Aquinas. Okay, the Middle Ages were much more productive than is widely recognized. Okay, I just got a few quotes from Dante, not too much here. First one's a good one. He says, truth justifies itself. The truth is just the truth. When there's a lie, the lie is very often justified by violence, okay? Do as I say or you'll get your butt kicked, okay? Truth helps to overcome lies. But yeah, whenever you feel a lot of pressure, like if you don't say that soy is a good food, you're an a-hole, okay? Or if you don't say omega-3s are a good supplement, you're a jerk. Whenever you feel that pressure, you should sense that there's a lie. Because why would you need pressure? You would just say it's obvious for this reason if it was obviously true. That's a good rule for life. Whenever you feel somebody's pushing you, be skeptical. Dante, first quote. This is the beginning of the Divine Comedy. In middle age, I found myself in a dark wood, and the path was lost. That's a great line, because that's how we are with health. You know, we're fine when we're 20. All of a sudden, we're 30, 35, 40, and all of a sudden, we got a problem. We're like, how did that happen? Maybe I better start learning about nutrition. Dante, the path to paradise begins in hell. Dante, the sign above hell, when he arrived at hell with Virgil, it said, abandon hope, all ye who enter. The sign at the mouth of the gates of hell. And that reminds me of going to clinical medicine for treatment of chronic disease. They never cure hypertension or diabetes or coronary artery disease. Only low-fat vegan diet can cure that. He said, Aristotle is the master of those who know. Yeah, people try to make fun of Aristotle, but Aristotle, the more you learn about Aristotle, the more you will like him. He was the great one in philosophy. Dante, consider your origins. You were not made to live as brutes, but to follow virtue and knowledge. Okay, and then after this, I got like about 7 pages going through the Divine Comedy in detail that I don't think this audience wants to hear, but I thought it was fascinating. There's a great course on the Divine Comedy by Professor Cook. Also, I'll show you a book. I got a book. One second. It's right next to me. Here's the book. It's The Art of the Inferno. And the author's name is Dino di Durante, a nice Italian name there. And it's great paintings. You can see it on the cover, this painting of the Divine Comedy, the 9 circles of hell, the pit at the bottom, the fires of hell, the frozen ice. You know, it's a bit of a contradiction, burning fires and ice. But anyways, it's magnificent art. I gave a previous lecture, I don't know, maybe I'll run that one today too, on the art related to Dante's Divine Comedy. So it's pretty extraordinary. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that.